everybody, it's Roger Federer here.
I'm not really sure how far the gap is between the WTA and ATP just because I'm not.
If you thought the drama happening on the courts this season was intense, you have seen absolutely nothing yet. Because today, we are diving deep into a scandal so massive, so earth-shaking that it has shaken the very foundations of the tennis establishment, torn the polite, carefully built mask right off the face of the sports media machine, and forced one of the most legendary figures this sport has ever produced to step out of his quiet, comfortable retirement and drop a nuclear truth bomb that the entire world is still feeling the aftershocks of. We are talking about the Swiss maestro himself. We are talking about the man with 20 Grand Slam titles, the man who redefined what grace and excellence look like on a tennis court, the man who has spent 2 decades floating above controversy as if it never applied to him. We are talking about Roger Federer, and he has finally, completely, absolutely had enough. The way she was treated is a disgrace to the entire world of sports. Go ahead and let those words sink in for a moment, read them again, and feel the weight of them, because this is not some controversial pundit shouting into a microphone trying to create outrage for clicks. This is not a hot-headed rookie with a grudge and a social media account. This is Roger Federer, a man who has spent his entire public life being the definition of diplomatic composure, measured responses, and perfect sportsmanship, a man who for more than 20 years you could not pay enough money to say a truly negative word about anyone in the tennis world, and for him to walk up to a microphone, visibly angry, eyes cold as winter ice, and deliver a takedown that would make even the most experienced media veterans uncomfortable, that does not just tell you a line was crossed, that tells you the line was crossed, burned, and the ashes were thrown into the wind. And at the center of this enormous storm is a young woman whose greatest achievement was taken from her, mocked, minimized, and dragged through the mud by the very people whose job is supposed to celebrate the beauty of this sport. And that young woman is Alex Eala, and her story is one that every tennis fan on this planet needs to hear completely. Because to truly understand the scale of what Federer did and why his 12-word warning hit like a freight train at full speed, we have to go all the way back to the beginning, back to the match that lit the fuse. Because this entire story does not start in a media studio or on a podcast. It starts on a tennis court where a young Filipina stood across the net from one of the most celebrated players of her generation and delivered one of the most stunning performances anyone had seen in recent memory. On one side of the net stood Coco Gauff, the American prodigy, the favorite of the international sports media, a Grand Slam champion who carries the enormous weight of an entire nation's expectations on her young shoulders every time she steps onto the court. Sponsors love her, networks admire her, she is marketable, she is brilliant. And she has earned every bit of her reputation through years of hard work and incredible results, and nobody is taking that away from her. But on the other side of the net stood someone the mainstream media had already decided was only a supporting character in someone else's story, Alexa, the talented, fiercely determined left-handed Filipina sensation who was trained at the prestigious Rafa Nadal Academy in Spain, a girl who packed her bags, left her family, crossed the world, and risked everything for her dream before most teenagers even understand what their dream is. And she walked onto that court as the underdog, with the story already written. Before the first ball was hit, Gauff was supposed to win, the result was supposed to be a footnote, it was supposed to be a routine victory for the American champion and a forgettable afternoon for the Filipina newcomer, but nobody handed Alex Eala that script, and even if they had, she would have torn it apart and used it as motivation. From the very first point of the match, it was clear to anyone watching honestly that something special was happening. Eala did not just play well, she played with a level of control that made even experienced analysts sit up straight and start taking notes. She came in with a plan that was bold, precise, and extremely effective. Her heavy left-handed topspin pushed Gauff into uncomfortable angles. Her reading of the powerful serves was impressive, getting into position early and neutralizing the speed that normally overwhelms opponents. Her footwork was quick, her positioning was smart beyond her years, and her mental calmness under the pressure of facing a Grand Slam champion was the kind of quality that cannot be taught. Either you have it or you do not, and Alex Eala clearly has it. She took the first set in a performance that left the stadium shocked, not because people doubted her talent privately, but because the mainstream sports world had not been paying close enough attention, and when the second set started, Eala did not back off to protect the lead. She attacked even harder, broke Gauff's serve, and found herself looking at the biggest win of her young career. She was the better player in that match. She was outplaying one of the most decorated young champions in the world, cleanly, fairly, and convincingly. Then came the moment that changed everything, not because of what happened on the court, but because of how the world decided to react to it. Coco Gauff's body gave out, an injury, painful and real, forced her to stop before the match finished, and to be completely clear, nobody wanted that to happen. An athlete's pain is never entertainment, and her suffering in that moment was real and heartbreaking. Every true tennis fan felt sympathy for her. She deserved compassion and any fair sports culture would have given her that, while also celebrating the player who had clearly been in control of the match. But that is exactly where the problem began, because what happened in the hours and days after that match was not fair, it was not balanced, and it was not journalism. It was a coordinated attempt by parts of the sports media to rewrite what actually happened on that court. The headlines did not say Eala shocks the world with dominant performance. They did not say rising Filipina star sends message to the WTA. Instead they said Gauff injury ends match, American champion's physical struggle overshadows contest, and Eala's brilliant first set was reduced to a small note. Her lead in the second set was hidden at the end of articles if it was mentioned at all. And the performance of a young woman who had trained her whole life for that moment and delivered was slowly erased from the story. And then the social media storm made everything worse, because once the coverage set the tone, the trolls followed immediately, calling her win a fluke, saying she only advanced because of injury, putting an imaginary next to her achievement while ignoring the scoreboard, the statistics, and the clear evidence that she had been in control long before the injury happened. And what should have been a historic moment for Philippine tennis became something painful instead, something that could make any athlete question herself, doubt her ability, and wonder if she would ever be fully accepted at the highest level no matter how well she played. And that cruelty was not random. It was the result of a media machine that had already decided who the star was supposed to be, who would sell tickets, who would stay in the spotlight, and who would stay in the background no matter what the scoreboard showed. And this is where the story took the turn that shocked the tennis world, the ESPN hot mic incident. The moment when the curtain was pulled back and the private reality of sports broadcasting was heard in public. Because what broadcasters say when they think microphones are off is often very different from what they say on air. And in this case, the leaked audio reportedly captured analysts during a break laughing about Eala's performance, calling her strong first set just a lucky moment, and talking about how to present the story in a way that focused on Gauff's injury instead, how to protect ratings, audience interest, and the network's investment in the American star, while treating Eala as an inconvenience to the story they wanted to tell. And when that audio spread across the internet, the reaction was immediate, and one of the people who saw it was Roger Federer. To understand why Federer's reaction mattered so much, you have to understand how rare it is for him to speak like that. He is not someone who jumps into controversies. He is not someone who attacks the media. For more than 20 years he has been known for calm, careful, diplomatic answers, choosing every word with precision. So when he speaks in anger, every word is intentional, every sentence carries weight. And he had watched the coverage. He had watched the hot mic story. He had watched the criticism directed at a young player who had done nothing wrong except play great tennis, and something in him finally snapped. And when he spoke, the tennis world listened, his voice calm but full of cold anger, saying simply that he watched the match. And in those words alone he destroyed the false version of the story, because if Federer watched the match and said what he saw, there was no argument left. One of the greatest tennis minds ever was telling the world the truth. He had seen this pattern before with other players, with Naomi Osaka, with Emma Raducanu, with athletes who did not fit the media template, and he knew how damaging that pressure can be, and this time he chose not to stay silent, even though he had nothing to gain from speaking. No sponsor demanded it, no one expected it. He spoke because he believed the sport he loved should stand for respect, fairness, and integrity. And he could not watch something wrong happen without saying something, and the effects of that moment are still spreading. Fans are looking at broadcasts more carefully. Young players from smaller countries feel like someone finally defended them, and young Filipino players watching at home saw the most famous tennis player in the world say that one of their own deserved respect, and that matters more than people realize. The story is not finished yet. We will be watching how the media reacts, how the networks change their coverage, how Coco Gauff recovers because she is still a great champion who deserves support, and most importantly, we will be watching Alex Eala from this point forward, because if the level she showed in that match becomes her standard, the established order in the WTA needs to pay attention, because the girl who walked onto that court as an underdog, played the match of her life, lost her moment to media bias, survived the criticism, and kept standing is not going anywhere. She is not going to disappear from the story. She is not going to accept being a side character. And now she knows that the truth of what she did on that court cannot be rewritten, because the scoreboard proved it, Roger Federer said it, and the world saw it. Now we want to hear from you. What do you think about Roger Federer stepping out of retirement to challenge the media over Alex? Was it the right move, the overdue move, or just the reality of a sport where some stars sell more than others? Was his short warning perfect, or should he have said more? And what do you think comes next for Alex? Write your thoughts in the comments. We read all of them, we reply to many of them, and the best ones appear in future videos. So do not hold back, and if you are not part of the Champions Tennis family yet, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another story like this, because this season is full of them. And until next time, keep your eyes open, keep your love for the sport strong, And remember that in tennis, just like in life, real champions are the ones who keep playing even when the world tries to write them off. This is Champions Tennis. And the drama is only getting started.